Yo, what is going on, everyone? Thank you for checking out the channel today. Today we are going to be going over what is probably the second most unfun deck to come out of the new format, and that is going to be Great Tusk Mill. But quickly, before we do dive into the deep dive of the deck profile, I do kind of want to address the new format we're trying here. I was given some suggestions on how to improve the deck profile section of the videos, which I was happy to oblige to, because the deck profiles were something that I kind of wanted to work on myself, because I really didn't like how much empty space was on the screen. And so today we are going to be trying out the deck profile on the Pokegear app, which was made by the wonderful Jake Gearhart. So go ahead and go give him a shout out if you do enjoy using this program like I do. One of the main reasons why I like using this program is because it allows the entire deck list to be shown on screen at all times, and I can still highlight each individual card much more easily than I can in the Pokemon Trading Card Game live client. So for this week, we're going to go ahead and try out the Pokegear app to do our deck profiles, and then be sure to let me know how you guys feel about this format, and if the response is positive, then we're going to go ahead and keep doing it this way. But yeah, so getting into the profile here, this is going to be the star of the show. It's going to be the new Great Tusk, which for 2 colorless energies has the land collapse attack, which says that if you play an ancient supporter, you get to mill 4 cards from your opponent's deck. However, if you don't play an ancient supporter for the turn, you only mill 1. And so as a result, we are playing 4 of each of the ancient supporters, being Explorer's Guidance and Professor Sada's Vitality. I really wish we had better ones. Both of these are not the greatest for Tusk. Like, the Explorer's Guidance is cool because you get to keep digging through the deck to find resources, but both Sada and Explorer dig you through the deck, which can kind of be detrimental because you do need to play one of these almost every turn. So you actually can almost end up decking yourself out before you deck out your opponent, because of how frequently you need to resolve these ancient supporters. So as a result, we are playing heavy recovery cards like the 2 Super Rod and the 2 Pal Pad to help keep cards in the deck. And we are playing the 1 Pidgeot V, which does have the Vanishing Wings ability, which says that if it is on the bench, you can actually just take it and any cards attached to it, shuffle them back into the deck. And in the gameplay today, you're actually going to see a really cool interaction where I get down to like no cards in deck, and I keep throwing the Pidgeot back into the deck so I can resolve Explorer's Guidance, to use the Explorer's Guidance to grab the Pidgeot, take the Pidgeot, put it back in the deck. So that is a really, really cool interaction that this deck has. And then the other kind of supplemental Pokemon that we are playing is the 1 Comfey. This has been pretty standard in the Tusk Mill decks. It pairs really nicely with the rescue board, because we are kind of expecting the Great Tusk to get knocked out pretty easily. And by having the Comfey with the board, we essentially just get a free pivot into a Tusk, but it also lets us see an additional 2 cards and add one of them to the hand, which makes it easier to find the supporters from turn to turn. So I really do like this Comfey. We are playing the Radiant Greninja as a way to just discard energies, draw more cards, fuel the Sada, because we do need to have at least 1 energy to resolve the Sada's Vitality, otherwise we can't play it. And we're playing the Mimikyu. This card alone can sometimes just solo matchups. Oh, excuse me, sorry. So yeah, the Mimikyu can end up soloing matchups sometimes, or if you put a bit of groundwork in, if you get some lucky mills and your opponent was playing something that can deal with the Mimikyu, if it does get milled, if it is prized, or things of that nature, and you're kind of running out of steam, you can just throw the Mimikyu up in the active and eventually deck your opponent out that way, because they will not be able to deal with the Mimikyu. And then we are playing the 1 Tempting Trap Mawile. This is in here because it's another pseudo stall aspect. If through the Great Tusk you do end up milling a lot of cards like Switch Card, Switch, Prime Catcher, stuff like that, this is another way to alleviate the pressure of finding ancient supporters from turn to turn. because with the Tempting Trap, for 1 energy, it doesn't matter which one of your energies is on this, you can attack into the opponent's defending Pokemon, and Tempting Trap will prevent them from retreating. So if you can combine this with something like a counter catcher, and you bring up something that can't retreat that easily, or can't attack easily, sorry, then the Mawile can just sit there and Tempting Trap for the rest of the game until your opponent eventually decks out. And then going on to the trainers, it's relatively standard. We're playing a lot of like heavy digging cards. Like we have 3 Artisan to help dig everything out of the deck, minus the Pidgeot and the Radiant Greninja. We have the 4 Nest Balls to grab everything, 4 Earthen Vessels. This is mainly just to be able to get all of the energies out of the deck quickly, so that way we can, you know, more effectively find the supporters. Same thing goes for the Trekking Shoes. These are just extra draw cards. And then we are playing quite a bit of HP buffing tools. We have 3 Bravery Charm, 1 Booster Capsule, and then the 1 Hero's Cape for the A-Spec. I know some people might be asking, like, why are you only playing 1 Booster Capsule when your main attacker is Great Tusk? It's because the HP difference between Bravery Charm and Booster Capsule is only 10. And most of the time that 10 HP won't come up, so you'd much rather have the Bravery Charms be your higher count, because it means that you could put it on any one of these Pokemon and get the HP buff, rather than being limited to just playing Booster Capsule on Great Tusk. And then we are playing 4 Double Turbo, 4 Fighting, and 1 Psychic. The 1 Psychic is just in here in case we ever, you know, try to go that lone Mimikyu strat, and it gives us the opportunity to actually attack with it. And then the last kind of outlier in the list is the 1 Eerie. So she is the only non-ancient supporter that we play in the deck. And this is kind of going back to what I said with the Mawile, where if you can hit key resources like switches out of your opponent's hand or mill them through the Great Tusk, then you can make your game a lot easier. And so if you can get, like, you know, an off turn where you don't need to use the ancient supporter, or you whiff the ancient supporter but you find the Eerie, you can go ahead and use the Eerie, maybe hit some rare candies, hit some switches and stuff like that. And it also gives you full knowledge of your opponent's hand, which is really good for a deck like this, because it gives you the ability to plan out your turn, your next turn, and your subsequent turns a lot easier if you know what your opponent has access to. But yeah, guys, that is the list for Great Tusk that we're going to be using today. I'm going to go ahead and not throw the list on screen this time around, because we do have it, you know, kind of right here in front of us. But yeah, guys, if you do enjoy the content, make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and then go ahead and leave me a comment down below what your favorite mill card is. Alrighty, guys, I'll see you in the gameplay. Alrighty, guys, we did get our opponent for the day. Let's hope we can have a good game with Tusk Mill. From my experience, this deck is kind of hit or miss, so let's just hope we can get a good setup and we can find those ancient supporters from turn to turn. We are going to go first, just because I feel like being able to potentially attach like a basic energy or something would be helpful for us. We did have a mulligan. We had another one. Okay, so the opponent is playing Charizard. I think this should be a decent matchup for us. I can see it not being the greatest, but I do believe it should be at least decent. Because we're never taking prizes, Zard is always going to be capped out at 180, which is enough to one-shot Tusk without a tool on it. However, we do play, you know, a lot of HP modifier tools, but Zard does tend to play a vacuum or two. So I feel like if we can eventually get to that point of running them out of vacuums, then we might be in a good spot. It's really funny that we started the Comfey. If we hadn't mulliganed so much, we could have maybe potentially had our opponent think we were playing Lost Box, which is kind of funny. I'm going to Vessel away the Artisan. We're gonna go grab, I guess grabbing this, no. Oh, that is something else to consider. The Mimic, you can kind of wall them out, but they are playing Bibero. Okay, we prized an Explorer. Prized the shoes. Got 2 Bravery Charm, a booster. We did prize the cape. And then, okay, so those prizes aren't the worst. I am going to actually vessel away and go grab more energies just to thin out of the deck. And the reason that I'm holding off on this Artisan is because I want to get, you know, multiple Great Tusks down. And so I want to keep as many in the deck as possible while I do the flower selecting and the Radiant Greninja before I go ahead and search one. Because then it increases the chances that I find multiple. Okay, those were pretty good cards. We're going to go and use flower selecting. We're going to take the double turbo. We're going to Artisan for a Tusk. And we're going to put the double turbo on it, and we are going to pass. So ideally, we can find the emergency board to put on the cone face. That way we have that pivot every knockout. But even if we whiff it, we do have the fighting energy to manually retreat. And we can Artisan for another Great Tusk. Greninja discard. Okay, so our opponent opens up Poffin, which is just incredible for them. They did Artisan for the Bidoof, which makes sense. We did see that they were playing the team Evolution, so we did know that they were playing Bibarels. Opponent appears to be doing a slight amount of price checking, which is a good habit to get into. If you guys can get into the habit of price checking, I would highly recommend it, because it does help your game flow more effectively and efficiently once you do know what your prizes are, because it means you can make different plays based off of what your prizes are. And as we did see, our opponent did add that lost vacuum there, so that is something we do have to keep in mind. And they did get the TM evolution off. And they're going to go for Charmeleon and Bibero. Makes sense. Alrighty. Ideally, we either hit and out to another Great Tusk. So I'm going to go ahead and Greninja. Get rid of the fighting. I'm going to flower selecting. Grab the double turbo. I'm gonna Artisan, grab the Tusk. Part of me kind of wants to use the Eerie this turn, because I know that they held on to that lost vacuum. I really don't hate it, if I'm being completely honest. I'm going to go for it. We got the Ultra Ball and the Vacuum, which is huge. They do have a Zard and a Boss. So they have Entei, Zard, Boss, Belt. Okay. So they didn't have a rare candy, which is kind of what I was hoping to snipe. But getting rid of that Vacuum could be really huge for us later. And I'm just going to attach and pass. Because we do kind of expect our opponent to make, you know, they're probably going to evolve into the Charizard, put the 2 energies on the Zard, and 1 on the Charmander, and then boss up a Great Tusk and KO it. But the reason I went for the Airy there is because if I went for something like Sada, I could have milled 4, but this felt like a relatively safe enough turn because the only way that they would have taken a knockout on a Tusk is with a boss. But they went into... Was that a misclick? That had to have been a misclick, right? Like, there's no reason that they would go into Charmander there? Yeah, so we essentially just got the Airy for free. That's crazy. And then here, I'm going to... how do I want to do this? I am going to Artisan for the other Great Tusk. And we're going to Sada to the Tusks. Oh, maybe that's why they didn't want to take the knockout, because of the counter catchers, I suppose. We'll go for Trekking Shoes. I'll get rid of that Nest Ball. I don't really need it. Hitting Sada there is kind of cool. I'm going to go for the Flower Selecting first, because if I don't hit the board, then I have to use this energy to retreat. So we are just going to start milling. We did get the Bravery Charm, and unless our opponent plays 2 Vacuum, this Tusk should be all good to survive. We did mill a boss, which is kind of nice, and some fire energies. I'm still very confused about the Heat Tackle play. My only thought is they were trying to preserve the boss, not turn on counter catchers, but then it's like, that's right, they do have Entei. I did forget about the Entei. So the Entei can take one-shots on us. Okay, so just going for another Heat Tackle. This is really curious. Yeah, I'm just gonna Sada again, because now I just have my Great Tusk set up for practically the whole game. The only reason to choose here is to find like the board, so I'm not even gonna bother. Wow, we have done a good job of milling those Poffins. We milled their other 3 Poffins. That's insane. Those were actually all actively probably really good cards for us to mill for our opponent, because those were all just like very dead cards. Wow, they're just gonna keep Heat Tackling us. Oh, I figured it out. That's cute. They're gonna KO the Charmander, so that way we're forced to take our prize. Interesting. Because then they'll turn off our counter catchers. Yeah, I mean, there's no reason not to put the Bravery Charm down. We're going to... Do I want to Palpad in the Sadas to potentially keep the chain? No. We're gonna grab... Ooh. Oh, that's brutal. Probably just these. Can I afford to get rid of the other 2 double turbos? I mean, I do have 3 Great Tusk powered up already. Although the booster capsules aren't going to do anything if he starts attacking with Entei. So yeah, I'm going to... And then we're just going to land collapse. There is also a cute play here where our opponent just never takes a knockout and we deck ourselves out. which is actually hilarious. Okay, so now we need... Okay, so we know that there's an explorer in here. So if we trekking shoes, discard a card, draw another one, then we're guaranteed to hit an explorer. I think I would rather just take the risk. This one has a double turbo on it. This is getting really interesting. I might actually need... Oh, I can't even retreat. Well, I mean, I could. So I could put the double turbo here and retreat. This is really interesting. Okay, so hitting the Mimikyu there is huge. Hitting the Palpet is huge as well. And the Psychic. Because now it means we can explore on... So we'll have one card at the start of the turn. We can Explorer, I believe, to just get the one card. And then we can Palpat in the Explorers and stuff. And just keep chaining them with no cards in the deck for the next couple of turns. Okay, now okay, I can use this. So we do this. We grab Sada. We Palpad. 2. Yeah, we Palpad 2 Explorers. And then we mill. So now our opponent's going to be at 5. And then if we mill for 4, they'll draw their last card, and then all we have to do is pass. Okay, so we got a knockout. Okay, there's another rescue board. I must say, this was a very interesting strategy from our opponent. So we go Explorer, grab Explorer. We Palpad 2 Explorers. And then we Land Collapse. And now our opponent's going to draw the last card. They have to play an Iono. Otherwise they lose. But an Iono puts so many cards back into our deck. I wonder if they're going to call our bluff and just make us keep milling them. Although, actually, no. Okay, so they're going to do Super Rod and Iono. Makes sense. Okay, this is really huge for us. Because now we have access to the Pidgeot. Burning Darkness. Makes sense. Wow, they put exactly enough cards in their deck to not get milled. This is a crazy game, guys. This was like, you know, like excellent play from both of us, if I'm being completely honest. I think I just go for the Explorer, right? We take the Pidgeot and the Super Rod. We bench the Pidgeot. We shuffle it away. We retreat into this Great Tusk. And we Land Collapse. So now our opponent probably has one more Iono, assuming it's not prized. Okay, cool. So we got the dub. Wow, that was actually kind of an I tried to say intense and insane at the same time. That was an intense game. I actually really enjoyed that, and I don't normally like playing mill decks, but that was a fun game. So yeah, guys, that was our video on Great Tusk Mill. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and leave me a comment down below if you are an avid enjoyer of Mill. Alrighty, guys, I will see you in tomorrow's video.